As someone who grew up in Canada, I am no stranger to living under a sort of monarchy. Not really, but you know what I mean. So allow me to echo what millions of protesters said this weekend, which is no kings, not here, not ever. And really who should be saying that as loud as they can? The Republican originalists who cling to this country's founding documents like it's the last apple cider donut at the apple orchard. I'm sorry. It's autumn all the time over here now. But you know what? I have some actually good choice words for the peaceful protests that happened in all 50 states across the country this past weekend, where Americans from all walks of life came to express their patriotic duty and try to hold this administration accountable for its greed and its excess and its inhumanity. My favorite part, truly, there were American flags everywhere. American flags everywhere, because these are people who love their country. They simply hate what is happening to it. Protest is like the most American thing of all. There is nothing un-American about protest. It's one of my favorite American traditions. But Republicans in the administration will tell you that this was an I hate America protest. The White House took away the complete wrong message and then posted AI-generated social media videos of President Trump dressed as a king. Continuing of him as a king, flying an airplane and then dumping literal shit on protesters. My God, as if he would ever pass the physical to become a pilot. Never. They may have taken away the wrong message from this weekend, but you know what? Millions of marchers surely did not. This is Choice Words. I am Samantha B. My guest this week is journalist Alex Wagner, the host of Runaway Country, a new podcast from Crooked Media, and the former host of Alex Wagner Tonight on MSNBC. I adore her interview style. We need journalists like her now more than ever. Anyway, also, guess what? There are still a few tour days left for my live show, How to Survive Menopause, which is touring the United States right now. Go to samanthab.com. Just check and see if I'm coming to your neck of the woods. Until then, take a listen and make good choices. I'm really excited to be talking to you. I'm excited for your new launch. It's like the day it's happening today. The day that this
is it. God. Here we go. Buckle up. The road could go anywhere. Who knows how it ends?
We're going to christen the ship. We're just we're smashing
champagne.
Let's
hope the ship is not the Titanic.
It is not the Titanic at all. This is a beautiful and very fascinating voyage.
It is.
Tell me about, before we even talk about anything. So the show is called Runaway Country. Mm-hmm. It's on Crooked Media.
Yep.
I feel like Crooked Media is a really good home for you. That feels like a good spot, right?
It feels like home. I mean, I will say I did a limited run podcast during the pandemic with the Crooked guys. And I mean, they're friends to begin with.
Right.
But they have an incredible team. I mean, there's just shared worldview and work ethic and creativity and brilliance. I'm definitely lowering the brilliance quotient by being there. No, they're it's really it already felt like home before I even really worked there, So it's just a super. They have a lot of snacks at the office. It's just, you couldn't really ask for more. There's nice people, lots of snacks.
And the freedom to speak, you feel free there.
Yes.
They want point of view. They want what you are.
They want 4-letter words, Sam. They do. They want 4-letter words. That has been the biggest constraint of my time as a broadcast journalist. Is I say the word fuck a lot.
Well, Nat, you're in the perfect place.
Thanks.
So you're Can we go back to MSNBC for a second? Because
Sure.
I do want to, because the cancellation of your show was extremely shocking to me. Like when it happened, it was in the spring, in February?
It was in February.
Okay.
I was in Disneyland with my children.
Stop it.
Television is, I'm still an MSNBC political analyst. So, I value, listen, I think there are some of the smartest, some of my really close friends, Chris Hayes and I have known each other for 20 years. Yeah. Some of my closest friends work there. And I am awed by what they do on a nightly basis. And, I think it's a complicated time in media. And I gotta say, I feel so grateful that I can keep one toe over there and like submerge the rest of my body in what feels like an really exciting, forward-leaning, facing, world of podcasting, and get to stretch my legs and,
The media shakeups have been, because that was, I feel like your show and Joy Reid, like those were kind of like the major shakeups at the beginning of the administration. Yeah. Right?
Yeah,
like, that definitely.
Yeah. We felt shook up.
Yeah.
I can't say that it was anything other than that, but listen, I think I've had a show canceled on MSNBC before then, which I found out about by reading about it in the newspaper. So
that's you know what? That's one of the best feelings where you're like, what's this now?
This time I got a phone call. It's like people, listen, they are trying to navigate some incredibly choppy waters, right? And everybody's trying to figure things out. I don't think that everybody agrees with the choices that were made, but that's not my job, and like, you kind of have to trust that they're trying to do something difficult, right? They're trying to spin off a company in a really challenging environment, and they're making decisions that they see are best. And I think one of the things television will teach you, and I know I don't have to tell you this, is like, you just got to have a really thick skin and you got to roll with the punches. And I'm grateful to have the platform there that I still have. And I love my friends and I support them. And, it's a very disruptive time for everybody in media. And this is just a very extraordinary example of that.
Yeah. nobody really has any idea. Like everybody only has guesses about where it's going to go. And I will talk about that a little bit more, but it definitely is the most contraction that I could have I would never have imagined this many media mergers, for one thing.
With more to come. Like the Ellisons may own CNN soon too.
I know.
I used to work at CBS. It's the mergers, it's the consolidation, it's the pledging of fealty, it's the autocratic pressure that's being exerted upon these media organizations.
The payouts.
Yeah, the payout.
Extreme pressure, like the appeasement that I feel like because now I'm an outside party to it. So kind of like paying these exorbitant amounts of money. I'm like, I don't think it's going to work.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happens. I really think, and at the same time, I do think you lose talent. Like it may not be that marquee, the name talent is off the air, but as you know, shows are only as good as the collection of people that work behind them. And if you're a producer or a writer, and you're, in this industry, you really it does give you pause. Like, is this the field for me? Is this where I belong? And that, I think, results in a real diminishment of the quality of the programming and the quality of the news, which is so essential in this moment. So
people are like, could I make more money dipping candles in Maine?
Yeah, probably. Maybe. Could I be happier? Could I not feel like I'm under the thumb of an autocrat? Probably.
Yeah. Oh, probably.
Or like, could I go into advertising? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I wish there were more aspirant candle makers in the television industry, but I feel like it's more like, should I go work, and I think I'm very romantic. I'm like Aaron Sorkin. I'm very romantic about the news. Yes. And I think it serves a real purpose, even though the public appetite for it is really changing. And it makes me very sad to see the atrophy.
What would you say if you were speaking at a journalism school right now? I actually was trying to think of like what Well, first of all, I'm like, should I go back to school and just audit journalism classes? Because
law school.
I don't know.
Law school.
Yeah, maybe law school.
Don't audit journalism classes.
Oh, but what would you even say to what are they saying to graduating classes? Or like, what are they?
Well, I think part of it is like, I was talking to Mehdi Hassan from Zeteo about this, Zeteo. And he said, Jay, schools just aren't preparing these journalists for what actually is required of them. Setting aside the actual fact gathering, it's like there is no neutrality in this new world where the fourth estate is under assault, where freedom of speech is under assault, where censorship is a daily thing. There is no equivocating. There should be no equivocating about what's unfolding politically. Like there is no both sides-ism in a moment like this, right? And I think there's still this hangover of kind of the way the news used to be that is still in place in some of those institutions where they're teaching, J schools. And what journalists today need to be are tenacious, super curious, and unafraid. And, if you learn that in J school, great. Or if you just go out and start doing it on your own, maybe even better.
He's really a great example of someone like sitting for his Jubilee, like who is able to just like Aikido roll with so much content.
Totally.
And
Aikido
everything coming at you. Just the amount, like the barrage, and able to just work with that, like take it in, use it, and let go of what is not needed, like let go. And it's actually remarkable to see. And it is a totally different skill set and energy. It's a whole different animal from like Edward R. Murrow, which is all of that is great.
No,
those old traditions are wonderful. Important. Respect. But boy, the times are changing.
Yeah. I mean, the entire Pentagon press corps, including Fox News, left last week because they're like, we can't abide with these new rules. Like we are not, Fox News is not known for its bra burning liberalism. Shall we say? Like, this is some serious shit.
This is really serious.
So respond accordingly.
Woo. Okay. So one of your first on-camera roles was for the circus on Showtime. And you spent a lot of time interviewing Trump supporters and like Republican activists. And I did a lot of that on The Daily Show. And it's really unlike any other type of interviewing that you can do. It's really interesting and really challenging. So tell me how you came to want to do this show.
So I've always been interested in talking to the people at the center of the story, right? I think when I was doing the circus, it was more in the context of elections and campaigns and understanding where supporters were. And I think there's a utility to that, even if it may not be precise, right? Like just getting a sense of like how it's all playing out. And that was super travel intensive, but I just think it's really important if you're talking about politics to have a feel for, the weather, In this case, I feel like we're just drinking from a fire hose, and it's this onslaught of like incredibly distressing, appalling, we're crossing the Rubicon like 6 times a day. And I think there are many concerns that surround that, but least of all, but not least of all is the abstraction that I think is set in, right? Where people are like, oh yes, ICE raids, purge at the Department of Justice, like, there's no more freedom of the press at the Department of Defense, like tariffs are going to affect, we're spiraling towards maybe a market crash on the level of 1929. You just kind of get a little numb to it when there's just so much of it, and it's very hard to wrap any sort of real feelings about it and internalize it and grapple with it on a human level. And so my desire in this is to really put some storytelling behind the headlines and give people characters to think about when they hear about an immigration dragnet or a National Guard troop who's deployed to Portland or Trump supporting soybean farmer who's like in the middle of the tariff war. Because I think one of the ways you get closer to a story and it matters more, to be quite honest, and maybe even you get engaged in the story itself as a citizen, is to feel something about it, to really feel something visceral. I mean, I just think as my experience as both a citizen, a voter, and a journalist is like, a story is most resonant when I can imagine the woman that was, forced to give birth at, in the parking lot, or the, migrant dad who was stolen from his family, or even, the January 6th supporter who stormed the Capitol. And I was there outside of the jail on January 20th when they were released, talking to those people. Like, I find it totally fascinating. And I also think, it reconnects us to some degree as citizens in this insane unfurling like saga of unknown acts that we happen to find ourselves in. So that's what I want to do on the podcast. And that's my goal, is to just, I don't know, I just feel like it's missing a little bit in the conversation. And then, of course, we'll have like analysis and contextualization from smarty pants, like,
It's like a storytelling, like just hearing like as specific, it's like giving specificity.
Exactly.
To just like a big, huge story that it's hard to get a toehold on some of these things.
Absolutely.
Like,
and some recurring characters too, almost like, okay, well, how's that? Like anti-vaxxer in Texas feeling now that the measles outbreak is spread across, you know what I mean? Like, or just like, how's the doctor doing in Florida? How's a teacher in Pennsylvania? We're hoping to find some real characters that our audience responds to that are good narrators for this moment, because I think as a national press corps, we fall short on that a lot. It can't just be.
Well, there's no time.
Yeah. That is totally true. I mean, when I was putting together my nightly show at MSNBC, like, you're just forced into like Sophie's Choice every night. Like, it's so hard to pick and choose, because you're shortchanging massive stories every single night just by virtue of the structure of a 1 hour news program. So, 100%. And that is one thing I do love about podcasting, is like, you can just soak in it. It's like a bath, only the bath is really weird bad news.
It's a really weird, it's a toxic bath, but you're like
it's a toxic bath.
But it's maybe, yes, it's definitely warm and there's stuff floating in it. Like, it's not, but it's good. But it's portable. Like, there's nothing I love more. I guess this speaks a lot to anybody who's ever worked in any sphere of news, or for me, political comedy. I love to like walk. Like, I'll just like walk for miles and miles listening to the most dire content. And I'm just like, just to feel it, just to be like, okay.
Well, there's something about being in motion and being in the world and listening to the news. I think you process it differently. I'm not a scientist, but I do.
You are. Now you are. And so am I. And that's how we process.
Next 32 seconds, I just think you do process it differently. It enters your brain in a more calm state, and maybe you internalize it, or you hold on to it differently. Maybe it locks into your memory better. I'm not sure, but I like driving with a podcast on.
Oh, yes.
It's just it's like listening to music. Like, you can sit down and listen to an album, but being out in the world and seeing nature or seeing a cityscape, you live in it differently. And I think the same might be true for podcasts. Though I don't discourage anyone from watching podcasts, including Runaway Country, on YouTube.
Of course. We love that. But a lot of, people do absolutely love doing it that way. I like it in the ears. I like it in the ears. I like it in the ears. You know what's ridiculous? Food waste. When food rots in landfills, it creates methane, which heats the planet 80 times faster than CO2. And most of that food waste is from our homes. But there is good news. This is a problem we can actually solve. Meet Mill. Mill is a food recycler, and it's the cleanest, easiest way to keep food out of the trash. You just drop in scraps, those sad leftover chicken tenders, the apple core, or the pumpkin guts from your fall carving, and Mill quietly transforms them into nutrient-rich grounds overnight. No smell, no mess, no fruit flies, and you can keep filling it for weeks. You can use your grounds in your garden, or Mill will send them to farms for you. We've been using Mill for months, and honestly, it has changed how I think about waste. My kitchen never smells anymore. Fridge cleanouts don't stress me out, and I love that I'm not taking out a dripping trash bag every other day. Doing something good for the planet has never been this easy, but you have to live with Mill to really get it. Good thing you can try it risk-free and get $75 off with code SAM. Visit mill.com/SamB. That's mill.com/SamB. Hiring isn't just about finding someone willing to take the job. You need the right person with the right background who can move your business forward. If I was looking for a candidate that matched exactly what I was looking for, I'd use Indeed sponsored jobs. Let's just say, I don't know, random. Let's just say I was looking to hire a new editor for this show. I would go on Indeed and be super specific about what I was looking for, not just can edit audio. I'd say, I need someone who's edited conversational podcasts for at least 3 years, who kind of gets our style and knows the software we use. Someone like a cool person, someone who's done this before. And here is the thing with Indeed sponsored jobs. I'd get people who fit that description. I'm not digging through resumes from people who've edited one YouTube video. I'm getting actual podcast editors who know what they're doing. People who've worked on shows like ours and can prove it. That is what makes the difference. With Indeed sponsored jobs, you get people with the exact qualifications that you're looking for. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed are 90% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs because you reach a bigger pool of quality candidates. Join the 1.6 million companies that sponsor their jobs with Indeed. Plus, with Indeed sponsored jobs, you only pay for results. No monthly subscriptions, no long-term contracts, just a boost whenever you need to find quality talent fast. Spend more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes, less stress, less time, more results now with Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/SamB. Just go to Indeed.com/SamB right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/SamB. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Do it the right way with Indeed. So do you feel like when you're interviewing people now, because so much is, the people's approach to media, like it is just the finest dental floss keeping I feel like our country is just like fraying dental floss people. How has it been to really talk to people who maybe don't share your worldview? Or like, how has it been to enter their lives? Does it feel different than, say, 2018?
Yeah. I think there's first of all, I get really sad. I mean, I will say, like, I talk to diehard Trump supporters, and I think, it's very different talking to someone at a Trump rally than it is at their home,
Of course.
And it's very different getting like a 5-minute or a 15-second bite, as it's called, versus really talking to someone. And when you do talk to people, I mean, there's a certain strain of MAGA that is, that's very hard to find any kind of bridge. But there's a fair number of people I've spoken to where you just sense that there's been such an accretion of like misunderstanding and anger and like just old wounds that haven't healed. And it's like, it's so tragic, and it almost feels like if we could just have a one-on-one conversation with every single person in this country.
Every single person.
Right. Yes. So easy. But, I mean, I think you see the humanity, and I'm not trying to excuse the most poisonous, parts of the platform that MAGA supporters and Trump supporters have embraced by a long shot. But I do think, I just always go back to that Obama quote. It's like, we have to think about it, not just for the woke, but for the waking. And I think that there are some people, especially now, as you see the administration get more and more lawless and do such extreme things that I don't think the majority of this country ever wanted. You do wonder whether there's just some way to sort of begin to try and reconnect and bring people back from the brink. I mean, I don't know. I think we're going to have to see what happens in 2026. Whether we even have free and fair elections is like an open question. But, I find it tragic on a level like that is deeply personal when I have some of these conversations.
Yes. And I do feel like our media is so completely siloed that it makes it actually very difficult. And I do feel like a lot of people are they're in the news stream, or they're in their media silo for so long.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Because they're so connected to their like phones, and it's just the world is so connected in that way. And we're all just like so obsessed with our devices and stuff that the immersion is constant. Like it's very hard to disconnect people from that. It's just like mechanical.
Well, and I also think, and you see this particularly in campaign and election years, that politics has replaced community in a way, like partisanship. I mean, the other thing I'm struck is how lonely, I mean, it's not news to say that the American public is lonely. And Vivek Murthy, our old Surgeon General, was saying the epidemic of loneliness is having a real impact on people's health. But I also think that loneliness, people are so in search of a way to belong and a place to belong and a like-minded group of people. And like they used to find that in the town square or in their neighborhood or at their church or at their bowling alley. And I don't mean to sound like, I feel like I keep sounding like Barack Obama or Michael Moore. But people find a sense of belonging. Like the one thing I will say about those Trump rallies in particular is there's such a sense of like, they're obviously filled with anger and some really toxic rhetoric, but there's also a sense of joy. It's like a revival. And it's
almost like a tailgate party, like the ultimate tailgate. It's like everybody kind of agrees.
Yeah, and it's like party. We're all in. You're with me, and I'm with you, and we're all alike. Like we're all good, right? There's no rejection, and people really just want to belong to something. They want to feel like they're part of something bigger. And I feel like politics has replaced that, which is really dangerous because actually, I think the essence of politics, or the essence of legislating, is a lot of compromise, right? And it's not just like-minded people doing things that they all agree on. It's a bunch of different ideas coming together, stewing around, and like something new being born from that. And in that way, I think it's really dangerous the way politics has become such a sort of, like an identity for most people in this country. Friendships have been broken, family bonds have been broken. I'm still like, if you have an uncle who doesn't agree with you, you still invite him over for Thanksgiving because the only way it's going to work is if we can still like argue with each other. You don't have to agree, but you can't shut off the spigot.
The whole country is just a giant angry Thanksgiving table.
And no pecan pie.
Everybody's fighting.
With no pie. No. It's the worst part.
The worst. What do you find that what do you find that people want to talk to you about the most? Like is there one thing that keeps just like grabbing you? Or is it all kind of different?
Oh, I mean, I got to say for this podcast, we're talking about specific issues, right?
Okay.
Like, so I'll be talking to someone who's specifically involved in like the purge of the Department of Justice, or someone who's specifically involved in immigration or whatever it is. So the conversation is pretty moderated in that sense. But I will say when you talk to people who aren't often spoken to, whether they are people that have been forced into the shadows because they don't have papers to be in this country, or whether they're, far-flung, farm workers or farmers in this rural part of a red state, they're, first of all, so grateful for the platform. And second of all, very, like there's a sense that they have been failed, or their community has been failed by the media, and they're so desperate to make sure that their words come across truthfully and fully, and that their story is told fully and truthfully. And I would say that's like in a bipartisan sense, like people want a voice. And I think part of it is the failing of, the way media works these days, where we haven't given a platform to those voices and those stories. And they're sort of essential in understanding both why the elections go the way they go and like how the policies that are made by those elected people are playing out among the American citizenry. So yeah, people are just like, thank you for coming. Can you please make sure to tell the story with all its parts? Right.
Oh God. I'm excited for your launch. I really want to listen to it. You're
going to hear it. It's going to be great.
I know there's so much, oh God, depending on who I talk to on a daily basis, like there's so much anger on both. Everybody's so angry. And like there is, and we can't, it's very hard to find nuance with all of this, like it's very hard. It's very hard to understand where someone was coming from.
Yeah.
That they couldn't, that they would, in a way, just really imagine the Trump administration delivering them out of something. Like it's very hard to get into that mindset.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's because we're also told I think a lot more dehumanization is done. I mean, both on the policy level and in terms of rhetoric, the right is dehumanized much of the left and made enemies of the state, the entire Democratic Party. And that's inexcusable. Yeah. But I do think there is, at the very least, a real lack of curiosity about, you know, the humanity of the other side. And I'm not, again, excusing what is in many cases misogyny, racism, xenophobia.
Oh, yeah.
But it is kind of just wondering and asking questions. And I think that that's important right now, especially because, again, I think there's an opportunity to try and find some way back home if you start with talking, because I just look at what's happening and I really don't think the American public is looking at what's happening to the country and saying, yeah, take Jimmy Kimmel off the air. Like, definitely do that. Like, masked ICE rangers, like terrorizing communities, creating crazy conniptions for the labor market, like devastating local economies. No, we wanted that. I mean, and raising grocery prices and instituting like tariffs kind of sort of all the time. Like, I just think that there's an opportunity to be like, well, wait, what's reasonable here? Like, let's just try and find what we can agree on to be.
Make politics boring again.
Totally.
Please.
Totally.
Let it be wonky again. I don't.
Totally. I remember when like the OMB, like, let's make the Fed boring. Like, let's just not have those be the sites of like weird Shakespearean dramas about like,
God,
you know, who's
bring
getting
back the nerds.
Bring
Come
back
on.
the nerds.
If you've shopped online, chances are you've bought from a business powered by Shopify. You know that purple Shop Pay button you see at checkout? The one that makes buying so incredibly easy? That's Shopify. And there's a reason so many businesses sell with it, because Shopify doesn't just make amazing buying experiences for customers. They're also the experts in helping small businesses grow big. Shopify's point of sale system is a unified command center for your retail business. It brings together in-store and online operations across up to 1,000 locations. Imagine being able to guarantee that shopping is always convenient. Endless aisle, ship to customer, buy online and pick up in store, all made simpler so customers can shop how they want and staff have the tools to close the sale every time. And let's face it, acquiring new customers is expensive. With Shopify POS, you can keep shoppers coming back with personalized experiences and first-party data that give marketing teams a competitive edge. In fact, it's proven. Based on a report from EY, businesses on Shopify POS see real results, like 22% better total cost of ownership and benefits, equivalent to an 8.9% uplift in sales on average relative to the market set surveyed. Stop seeing carts going abandoned and turn those sales into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/Samby. Go to shopify.com/Samby. Shopify.com/Samby. Okay, so your mom is an immigrant and a naturalized citizen from Myanmar. Mm-hmm. That is a very important perspective, I think, to be sharing. Like, what is she thinking right now? Like, what? I mean, I'm actually like, we live in New York City, and my husband just ran into one of our kids' old teachers from grade school, and she's literally escorting children to their homes, children of undocumented parents. The teachers are escorting the children home because the parents are too afraid to come and pick their children up at school.
It's insane.
And these children are born here, American citizens, and whatever. I just think the level of fear in a place like New York City, which is like a haven, like a safe haven city, it's really terrifying. So what's your perspective? I mean,
she's actually been like really an essential kind of example of the fear. Like I think I kind of navigate the world, not with a sense of impunity, but confidence. I was born in America.
Sure. Yeah.
My mom came here in 1962 or 63 and was like, our family was basically saved by the US government, by the federal government, because my grandmother had a library of sciences degree. She got her master's in the US. She was a Fulbright scholar from Burma. And the Library of Congress got my mom and my uncle and my grandmother out of Burma. They couldn't get their papers. There had been a coup and got my grandmother and my family over here. And that's how we got to America. And like, so there's part of our family story that's so built on the magnanimity and generosity and, you know, ambition of the American federal system, you know, and like we wouldn't be here without America and the way we ran immigration back then.
Right.
And now, literally yesterday, my mom called me and she said, my stepdad is Dutch. He is here on a green card. He is not a naturalized citizen yet, but he's from the Netherlands and he's white. And he was like, I don't think you should be driving around by yourself anymore or really walking around the streets anymore. She lives in a swing district. And she was like, I don't think I'm going to go around by myself anymore because I think I could get stopped. She's like, I've been carrying a copy of my passport with me, but I'm just really worried that they're just going to take me. And I was like, Mom, really? And she's like, yeah, they're doing raids in the area and I just don't feel comfortable. And he was like, God, you've been here for 60 years. And like
60 years.
This is the like you came, like she is the most patriotic American. She puts a little flag out on the 4th of July.
Yeah.
She's so proud to be in this country. And like, I was like, wow, you came here under one, like sort of a flag waving in one direction. And like, you know, she's 80. Like the last chapter of your life is being written with the flag flying in a completely different direction. And you're afraid of going out on the street by yourself. And I thought, fuck, if it is like this for my mother, who went to college in America, who is American, just because she's brown, she feels that vulnerable that she doesn't want to go out by herself anymore. I was like, I can't even, I mean, I've talked to migrants who are, you know, under threat and, you know, gone to workshops where they learn how to answer the door when ICE knocks. But like that fear is so pervasive and I would say universal. If you are a brown or black person in this country, like there has always been a feeling of vulnerability, but now it is pronounced to the level that you're like reconstructing your American life around the terror that's being inflicted by this administration. I mean, truly, I never thought I would hear that from my mom.
Oh my goodness. This is...
It's bleak.
That's really upsetting.
It's bleak. I was like, it's either that or she just wants Uber rides everywhere. I'm just kidding. Is this just because you want me to pick you up?
I want you to not just pick me up. I want you to carry me
in a divan.
And it would be ideal. Oh my God. There's so many. Do you feel like even that you can tell all of these stories? There's too many. There's too many people to talk to.
I know. But you know what? It's just one foot in front of the other. It's a weekly podcast. You know, there'll be 50. How many weeks are there in a year? 52? I never know.
I don't know. There's like 150.
There's, I think, 2,000 weeks in a year.
There's 2,000 weeks. There's been in the last 8, 9, what are we, 10th month? In the last 10 months, there have been 3,000 weeks.
Yeah, it is. That's true. And I think that there are 56,000 left before the end of the year.
Yes. And the end of the 4 years, I don't even know, like we could circumnavigate the globe. I don't know. What is even counting? How are you finding people to talk to? Or I guess people do want to tell their stories.
Yeah.
But like how?
It's hard. I will say the people who are still inside government who are still actively working inside the federal government or even state government are a lot more trepidatious. So you may see some anonymous If you're watching the video form, you may see some anonymous interviews at the top of the show because we obviously want to be very careful and people are incredibly vulnerable. This is an administration that has been very clear that it will target perceived enemies. We start with the story and then we find the people, but occasionally when we're going to start soliciting more of this, we'll do an open call for, if you are a National Guardsman or are you, if you are, whatever the topic is so that we can find people. But I will say this is another testament to the amazing work of Crooked Media. We have great producers who track people down and find stories. And I will say, I think almost uniformly people want to tell their stories. The resistance is just being worried for their own safety. Which again, it's like, God, can you believe I was in Hungary earlier this year doing reporting for MSNBC. And I remember thinking like, oh God, it's just like this in America.
Right.
It's happened. Like it's where people are afraid of talking. It's just, it's insane.
Which if you were like taking the bird's eye view, which cabinet position has been the most shocking for you?
Oh, you mean like which agency has done the worst?
Which one of them? Yeah. Which one is the worst? If you could even
they're all so bad. I think the Department of Justice is deeply terrifying, very scary. And I think we don't really know the full extent. I mean, on its face, HHS, the Health and Human Services, being run by a secretary who had part of his brain eaten by a worm and is completely detached from Earth One is like very alarming. Is changing vaccine schedules but it populated the upper echelons of the department with cranks. Yes. Like this is on its face totally terrifying. And I think the American public will be grappling with this in a very real way in the next year or two. But I think the thing that terrifies me in a different way is the Department of Justice, where we get these sporadic reports about what's happening in U.S. attorneys' offices across the country and like orders from Bondi and Patel to like find something there. The enemies list is out. They want people to dig stuff up. And then these guys are like, there's no there. We have nothing. Right. And they're like, fuck you, you're fired. Fine. We're hiring someone else who will find something. And then the exodus of people who are experts in cyber terrorism and counterterrorism and cyber terrorism and national security, that's a problem. The oversight infrastructure, the lawyers that are supposed to be advising the agency on what they can and can't do. I mean, I think that is like institutional, it's not even atrophied, like destruction, the likes of which we've never seen. Yeah. And I think that there are very real implications for all of that. But right now it's sort of shrouded. So it's really hard to understand in the way that like, oh, you're telling people that they don't need the measles vaccine is on its face absolutely bonkers. And like, we see that destruction in plain sight. I mean, that's just the destruction of, science.
Yes, it's like a big piece of Swiss cheese, and you can be very they really count on us to lose interest in things very quickly. Like they really count on us to just move through it because it's just too much. It's too much of an onslaught. But inside, there's a lot of there's termites.
Yes, that's the best.
There's termites in there.
That's the best.
Hollowing out.
And in the same way, it's not like you can just easily rebuild. I mean, that is the other piece of this. Is okay, presuming that Trump leaves office in several years when his term is up, and there's not JD Vance in office, and there's someone who's interested in, institutions and democracy. How do you build that back up? Because it's hard to put things back together again. It's like Humpty Dumpty.
It really is. And even rebuilding and beyond our borders, even rebuilding international trust, I think is an impossible.
That's going to take.
I don't know that
I don't know that. I mean, you'd literally have to have a series of probably 16 years where no bozos were allowed in the White House. And I just feel like our bozo sine curve is we're due for a bozo. Even if we get a non-bozo, another bozo is quick behind.
They're waiting in the wings.
There are bozos everywhere.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. All right. You know what? No bozos.
Please, no more bozos.
This is great. Please. This has been, talking to you has been just a sparkling glass of champagne for me. I swear to God, I needed it. Actually,
I
needed
am
it.
so. You're
Thank
a
you.
sparkling glass of champagne.
Oh,
Hit it from the bottle of champagne that we cracked over the boat. We're just tying the metaphor back up together.
We slugged back too nice, and it's a dry, delicious, like the best, tartest champagne.
It's a dry.
I just want to say congratulations.
Thanks, Mama.
And I'm super excited.
Thank you. I'm so grateful for the support and the interest.
Oh, it's the best. Storytelling, man. That's what we're here for.
That's why God put us here, to be griots.
That's why God put us on this earth. Have a great day. Have a great lunch.
Thank you so much. Thanks,
congrats.
Sam.
That was Alex Wagner, and I had no choice but to look up one thing. We were talking about how we just need like 16 years with no bozos in office to rebuild. But how could that ever happen? Because we bounce back and forth between parties in charge so often. So I had to know, if I dared to dream big, what is the most consecutive presidential wins by a single party? Well, the Democratic Republicans won 7 consecutive elections beginning in 1800. But alas, I'm sure that at least some of them were probably still bozos. Anyway, thanks for joining us. I am Samantha B, and we will see you next week for some more choice words. Thank you for listening to Choice Words, which was created by and is hosted by me, Samantha B. The show is produced by Svea Baron-Reinstein with editing and additional producing by Ryan Connor. We're distributed by Lemonada Media, and you can find me at RealSamB on Instagram. Follow Choice Words wherever you get your podcasts or listen ad-free on Amazon Music with your Prime membership.